Welcome to the August 15 Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. As always, you can add your name and affiliation to the list of attendees so we have some idea of who's attending. That would be great. All right, that brings us to the usual agenda. I'll pause. Does anybody want to add something to the agenda that isn't already there? Okay, if something does come up, feel free to jump in and we'll tackle it at the appropriate point. We don't have a lightning talk scheduled this week. If you want to give one, reach out to me and we'll get them scheduled. And I guess the next thing to do then is to take a look at some of the end user issues. We're looking at it. Doesn't look like anything came in the last 2 weeks, so I think we're actually in pretty good state there. Well,
there were a couple, but I closed them.
Thank you, Peter.
They seem like they were dupes of other things or already resolved.
All right. Anything in this list that needs some discussion? Okay. Then we will jump back to the agenda. That brings us to the 040 release. Okay,
Done.
good. Done. Excellent. Done. I thought I had seen the announcement go out on Slack, so that's a good place to be. All right, 041 then. We're coming up on the code split. And we still have 38 items in here, though.
Well, that seems weird. There used to be 70. Somebody must have just done a bunch of work.
Yeah, so
yeah, we're going to be moving a lot of these things out. Just an hour ago, it was 70, and that's already down to 38. So we'll get a lot more of these out to the ones that actually need to be resolved before we ship. There is one bigger thing, which is switching to OpenSSL version 3. That's not directly OpenJ9 related. But we'll need that because OpenSSL 1.1.1 is going out of support in September.
Okay. Is that a major piece of effort, or is that a fairly straightforward update?
Most of the work's been done. There's a change that needs to be backported to JDK 8 that hopefully will be done soon. And then the other problem is that there's some performance regressions when you move to V3. So there's people working on that. I'm not sure how much of that'll be done, and it's not a blocker. So hopefully we'll get enough of it done that customers won't notice any problems.
Okay. Just looking, I don't. We have something else marked here as a blocker as well.
Yeah, there's just something that popped up not too long ago and seems to happen frequently enough that it seems like a regression.
Okay. Do we have somebody looking at this already?
Maybe Babneet.
Just checking if Babneet's on the call. Babneet, I see you're on the call. You don't appear to be muted right now, but I can't hear you.
I did ask Babneet about it because he's making JVM TI changes. He didn't think any of his changes would have affected it because they were for 21 and later. But it seems something has affected it because it's a new failure that's happening now. So Babneet, I think one of his comments was that he was going to look at the stack trace and see if he could figure out what's going on.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Yeah.
I had mic issues. So I did try to look at that failure, but it only happens with PPCLE machine. And I tried to look at the curve file, and I didn't get much out of the stack trace. So I will look to find other means to triage that issue.
So we can run JExtract on the machine, or we can just get you access to the machine whatever.
I actually did get
works
access to
best.
the machine. Adam gave me access to the machine, but I didn't. I just looked at it once last week. But since it has been changed to a blocker yesterday, I will take another look at it.
Yeah, and there's a new failure as well.
In the, oh yeah, I did see you posted a comment. Yeah, like a separate issue or a new failure in the same issue.
A new failure in the same issue, like the crash occurred again, so there's another core dump.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
Okay. I don't see anything else marked as a blocker in this plan. So,
There should have been the OpenSSL v3 one.
yeah, sorry, other than the one we talked about.
Yeah, there's just those two.
Okay. And we still have a bit of time given the code split August 28.
Yeah, they don't block the code split.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I'm saying given the point at which we're at, if we're down to 40-ish items, then
Yeah, we'll
starting to
get it
in better shape.
We'll get it down to much smaller.
So, all right. Any concerns with shipping on time with this at this point?
Nope.
Okay.
And it is important to ship on time because of the OpenSSL change. If there are any OpenSSL vulnerabilities reported, we'll want to get that v3 support out there as soon as possible. Because the 1.1.1 goes out of support in September and we don't ship. Well, we start release activities in October. Normally we don't get something out until November. It's a big gap.
All right. That brings us to JDK 21, where we are just confirming that 30 items is down to 27 items, so that's a good place. So if we're doing the code split,
I don't think we're going to code split JDK 21 until we feel readier. It doesn't feel very ready to me.
I was going to say we had talked about targeting the end of August, but it sounds like you don't think we'll be ready for that.
So what I'd like to do is I'm calling it M0, where we're not going to split, but we'll run a full Sumru test pass and triage just to make sure that we've identified everything that needs to be in the milestone plan. And I'd want to do that after August 24th when we have the final OpenJDK release candidate.
Okay.
Although I was just looking at the state of Sumru testing and it doesn't look good, so there may be some Sumru issues that need to be resolved before we can do M0.
Do we still need branches for those though?
I don't think we need to run from branches. We run nightly testing and weekly testing without having branches.
Right. Are we going to release it as M0?
No. I don't know. We could talk about it.
Because there's people that have been asking for it.
So maybe we could, if everybody's okay with that. It would be, we'd have to have some statements about what works and what doesn't.
It might be worth seeing the state of the testing at that point before we make a decision on whether to release it or not, because it sounds like that.
I don't think we should release anything before OpenJDK does their GA.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We want to put something out after the GA date, some kind of milestone build. We can see where we're at.
September 19th?
Sounds about right.
Okay.
Is FFI still our long pole item? Is it still targeting mid-September? Chang, is that date still accurate?
So currently we're working on the digital test layer. So far, we still have one test layer in terms of FFI. So on Phoenix, so most likely read to the libfile, but you need to double check of there. If it's confirmed to be the read to the libfile, that should be temporarily excluded because we need to request the fix from a libfile. That means we will move to the work on unit support. So probably we need to a little while to finish everything.
Do you still think mid-September is a reasonable?
September, we probably the time's still a little bit tight from now, so I'm not quite sure about that because there's only one more step.
Sorry, am I hearing that correctly? That you don't think the mid-September date's achievable?
We can try, but I'm not super
If
sure.
the answer is no, that's okay. It just means that gives us an understanding of where we're at plan-wise.
I'm not okay.
So confidence is low for mid-September.
Yeah,
we could put it that way.
I'm not less confident. So far, this kind of things known in terms of how to get it things ready on the unit support.
Okay. Is there, as we look at getting closer to this, are there others that can be pulled in to help support this?
Based on the limited resources out there, I don't think anybody can help us out in this point. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Are we on track still with the virtual threads changes to have those complete by mid-September?
In terms of the functional support that we're planning to go in for Loom in 21, that has been on track, and currently we're pretty confident that those ones will go in by mid-September. In terms of the JVMTI work, there have been a few new bugs reported related to the Loom JVMTI API, so I'll let Bethany talk about it. I think he mentioned some of the generic ones we already fixed, but there's a few new ones that he haven't had time to look into yet.
Yep, so I think there are a few certification tests that are failing, and those are being given the priority. And then after the previous set of JVMK failures were fixed, new intermittent ones were seen for which Jason had opened issues, and those are still to be looked at. And the occurrence rate for the intermittent failures is very low, like 1 in 50 or like 3 in 50. So even I'm finding it difficult to reproduce them locally, so I'm not sure how easy it will be to triage them.
Well, move them
And
out.
Okay.
If you can't reproduce them to figure them out, then move them out.
Okay. And then scope values is still there's a issue pending against scope values where we are trying to implement a native method, which we previously thought was not needed, but recently, a few weeks ago, a certification test was added where the assertion in that method was hit. So I think we are also planning to implement that method to completely support scope values. I'm not sure what's the state of scope values in 21. Is it a GA or is it a preview?
Review.
Okay.
Do we have an outlook for implementing the API?
We already had an implementation. There's one outlier case where we don't handle inline methods. So I think we will have to work with the JET team to see how to tackle that corner case. But we do have an issue open, and the certification test passes with the changes we currently have. So I think we will try to work with the JET team to see how easy it is to handle the inline method scenario. And I think that sums up my update. Back to you, Dan.
All right, so it sounds like that mid-September is going to be difficult to hit in general, and that we should be at least considering late September, if not possibly even later. Okay. Anything else we want to touch on for the JDK 21 release? Okay. Adam, is there an update on the infrastructure?
Yeah, not much to say. Our factory capacity is in good shape. Started on AX work to get more machines, so that'll get us 4 more. So we'll share the 2 that Omar had, and then there was 2 that were being used by an IBMer, so we'll get those back. There was a Linux machine offline yesterday. That one's back up, and there was 3 Windows machines offline. 2 of them are back. One is not responding, so I'm gonna keep poking at it. If not, I might have to open a ticket. Other than that, I don't think there's much to say.
All right, thanks, Adam. I don't see Marius on the call, so I'm assuming no update on JIT server. Toby, is there an update on CRIU?
No, nothing news to discuss this week.
Okay. Hung, is there an update on Valhalla? Actually, I don't see Hung on the call. Okay. So I assume there's no update there either then. Is there any other business we want to tackle this week? All right, then thanks everybody. We'll have the next one of these calls next week.
Thank you.